Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Soo, your 2022 write-in Oakland mayoral candidate. Well, what do you think about going all electric in 2035? And so Governor Gavin Newsom signed the legislation, and so as of 2035, they can no longer sell new ICE vehicles, meaning internal combustion engine vehicles, in California as of 2035. So that means everything that's going to be sold in terms of transportation has to be electric. So it kind of brings me back to when I was like 6 or 7, and for Christmas I received an electric Eldon car. I don't know if some of you might remember those. They were the first electric cars, and they were meant for inside the house. And so I had one. They also got one for my sister. So that was my first introduction to the electric car. And I've had hybrid. I actually, for a short time, owned a Fusion hybrid. It was a 2011, if I remember right, 2011, and it was great. I really liked it when it was when I drove under 45 miles an hour. The car was on electric, the battery, and then when I went above 45, or I needed fast acceleration, then the gas engine would come on. And so that was a nice changeover as we move to full electric vehicles here in 2035. But the point that I want to bring up is, while Governor Gavin Newsom signed the legislation stating that in 2035 all cars, all transportation vehicles must be electrified. And so we're currently working on an electrified train system right now too. So they're hoping to have that up and running by 2035. But anyway, that says a lot of about how progressive Gavin Newsom is, and I think he's playing to the politics that are leaning towards green energy, or green, clean, renewable energy, which I also support, but I have limits on what I support. I believe that Governor Gavin Newsom is pushing too far, too fast, because we have a lot of supply chain issues right now with just the current switch over to electrifying homes. And I do not support grid-tied electricity to homes. I support only off-grid, meaning that you are not tied to a utility, and that's what I support. And the reason why I support that is because right now we're already seeing a lot of shortfalls here in California with issues all up and down Northern California with PG&E, and also Edison down in the south. And so there's a lot of different utility supply and distribution issues, and it's getting more so because the system is antiquated. We're talking about systems that were put in place decades ago, long before I was even born, and we're still using them today, and they've just been maintained, and now they're falling apart. And also climate change has a lot to do with why we need a different distribution system. And so the mindset of the big utilities and energy itself, they're monopolies. If you look at all of them, I literally say they're monopolies because you have no choice. If you want energy, electricity, or natural gas, you have to come to them, and they have you. You have no other alternative. Nobody else can supply you, which was kind of unique when I lived in the city of Alameda. Alameda had Bureau of Electricity, BOE, at the time, and so they were the substitute for PG&E for all of Alameda and Harbor Bay, as I lived out in Harbor Bay, and so I dealt with the city of Alameda BOE for electric and gas. But I want people to have the choice, because what our cities have done is remove that choice for you to be energy independent, where you can supply your own energy needs for your home and for your car. I say this because right after Governor Gavin Newsom signed the legislation to ban ICE vehicles in 2035, the very next day, right here in Northern California, we experienced one of the hottest number of days in Northern California for this year, and in the triple digits, which is very unusual for our nearby areas. And so we had a Cal ISO Flex Alert for 10 days, asking people to cut back on their electrical usage. And so that meant that when you got off work, you got home, you couldn't run your air conditioner, or you couldn't run high demand, high energy appliances like a washer, dryer, power tools, things like that. Even a dishwasher can make the difference. And definitely HVAC units draw a tremendous amount of electricity, and so that was the big draw. And people were getting off work. Office buildings tend to be a little more energy efficient because you have a lot of people there, and they have their own transformers which supply energy to buildings, and so they're on a different type of structure. But as an independent, as a homeowner, single-family households should have the choice to either be energy independent, which I advocate for, or you can be tied to a utility. But you should have that choice and not forced into the monopoly like we have with PG&E here in Alameda County, and especially Oakland. We should have the ability to select one or the other, or have the ability to switch between the two, meaning that we turn one off and we turn the other on. And it literally is one system or the other. You don't get both. And the reason why I say you don't get both is because that's what a grid tie system is. A grid tie system is that you feed back into the system your excess electric that your solar panels, your PV panels are generating. And so you get a credit. I personally don't like those. It was a great incentive when it was to encourage people to look at solar and to put solar on their roof. And so right now, I would actually endorse and advocate an end to those special programs with the grid tied. I would rather personally see off-grid systems with separate battery systems and the controllers, everything in the home, so that you're energy independent. The sun hits your own solar panels, which charge your battery system up, which energizes your entire home. And then also, to become more energy independent, we also set up a system for your electric vehicles, your EVs, and so that gives you independence from petroleum and the utility companies, because you control the electricity. The utilities and the government cannot control the sunlight, and so by having your own solar PV systems or wind turbines on your property, you become energy independent, and that's what I hope everybody strives for. And I see the homes, the energy efficient, the net zero energy efficient type homes of the near future, incorporating all of these things. And as I watch what's happening not only here in America, but also on the other side of the world in European countries, Netherlands, and very cold climates as they use solar. So solar is a definite up and coming technology. We're also seeing new PV factories, solar panel factories being constructed right here in the United States. So once again, we're going to have more solar PV panel production, and it's going to be stateside and have the Made in the USA label, and that's important. I would love to buy USA products that are made right here. Unfortunately, the overseas, they have such a price difference. Technically, it's significantly more buying United States, USA produce PV solar panel currently. But with the new manufacturing plant coming online, that will hopefully drop the price of manufacturing those same panels or better, and make them competitive with those panels that are coming currently out of Vietnam. So we're not getting them from China right now, we're getting them predominantly from Vietnam and Malaysia. And I myself am solar, I create all my electricity through solar electricity. I'm just north of 1200 watts right now, and my actual finished goal when I finish putting everything together will be 5,300 kilowatts, or 5,300 watts of energy that is created. And so that's what a typical apartment, 600 square foot up to a 900 square foot apartment would be energized with, approximately 100 amps of service. And that's what I'm going to be putting into my tiny home in the near future. And as I'm going to be starting construction here very shortly, and moving a lot of components into that structure. As we finish out the first phase, we'll build into the second phase, and then you'll get to see everything. And then in the new year, we're going to be moving everything to the new community land trust that will be opening up here. I'll be talking more in depth about that in the near future as things progress and we finalize registration and all the legalese, we'll say, because there's a tremendous amount of paperwork, and I have lots of lawyers on this. I have a financial advisor and accountant that will be assisting on the project also. So it's very involved, but we want people to have the choice, because what cities and counties have done is remove your choice of either being energy independent or being tied by an umbilical cord, the service wire, to your home and to your lifestyle. And so we want to cut that. I remember one of the things that was really frustrating when I first moved out to North Carolina. In 1 week, I experienced more power outages than living 47 years here in California, where we have a power outage at the time was very rare. When I was in North Carolina, I had more in 1 week than I had in the 47 years of my life in California. So if I had been able to, at the time, I had already started considering adding solar to the home. It was considerably more money back then, because this was only 2007, 2008 at that time. And so solar panels weren't as plentiful and they weren't as efficient as they are today, but they were available. And I was considering adding that on because I was so frustrated with the constant power outages that were occurring where I was living. And it wasn't just once in a while, it was nearly every day when I was out there. So it was very frustrating. So anyway, I want you to have the choice of energy independence and saving that money, creating that energy for yourself, having and living in a net zero home, meaning that you create all the energy that you need for everything to operate your household. And so that's what I strive for. And as your mayor candidate, I can bring those programs to fruition where it helps you, it helps the low income, and it helps the environment. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back.